I am here to talk My Little Pony. Now, My Little Pony has been around for like I would say 40 years. It was always kind of popular, but it wasn't until Gen 4 or My Little Pony Friendship is Magic as it's called that it gained a different type of popularity. What brought people into that show, I believe, was the style and the animation because before it was more cartoony and now it's more anime in a way. Not to mention the characters are much more expressive, they have much more personality. The main character was a girl named Twilight Sparkle, a unicorn who was told, hey, you can't spend all your time studying, go out and socialize, maybe make some friends. What she did, she befriended five girls: Pinkie Pie, Fluttershy, Applejack, Rarity, and Rainbow Dash. There were five girls with five unique personalities. Pinkie's very zany, Rarity's the elegant one, Applejack is the country girl, Fluttershy's the very shy one, and Rainbow Dash, well, let me get into her a little bit. Very eccentric, a bit arrogant. I would say she's almost like the Human Torch or the Fantastic Four in a way. They're both full of themselves, but much more loyal than they appear. Rainbow Dash has been compared to Sonic the Hedgehog, but I would say she's more like Archie Sonic rather than Game Sonic, because Archie Sonic has that same ego, but that same loyalty to his friends. And then you have the rest of the characters, but My Little Pony, I would say, is much more episodic compared to a lot of shows. I mean, a lot of shows are actually episodic in a way, but My Little Pony does have a bit of an overarching story, but at least later on. At first, it was episodic with a few two-parters. Like the biggest story of season one was them preparing for something called the Grand Galloping Gala, which is not a major event. It was just something they did for fun, and it was fun and chaotic, but still not a very good watch. They have Then you have the villains. Now the villains are an interesting subject because first we had Nightmare Moon, who wanted eternal darkness. Nightmare Moon was Princess Luna. She was jealous because her all the ponies loved her sister because she brought daytime, whereas nighttime everyone sleeps. Eh, guess she's never heard of nightclubs, but she wanted eternal darkness, and then they blasted her with the elements of harmony, and suddenly she's good again, and all is forgiven. I'm going to excuse it because she was Celestia's sister. I think Celestia just wanted her sister back, but there was still a consequence, which we'll get into later. Then he got Discord. He was a reality warper and pretty overpowered as a villain, and very entertaining. He was probably one of the best villains on the show for a while. Later on was Queen Chrysalis, who was one of the more consistent villains. Like some of these villains do get reformed, but Chrysalis maintained her evil nature. So because in the end, she just wanted power. I would say that Discord and Chrysalis, their defeats were a little lackluster. Um, then you have King Sombra, who was much more intimidating as a villain, but again, he was a little lackluster in the fact that he never really got a lot of development, and it was kind of a shame because I feel like he could have been a much more better developed character. Then season four had this little story arc. Twilight Sparkle just become a princess, and mind you, this was a bad choice for some fans because they felt like it kind of ruined the point of Twilight's character. I would say this: Twilight being a princess isn't bad, but I feel like it could have waited a little longer. Like for me, it's no different than say Goku becoming Super Saiyan God or Spider-Man joining the Avengers. It's growth in her own right, so she earned her wings, but it just should have happened a little later for me. Point is, story along season long arc, culminating with the final battle against T-Rex, bit of Dragon Ball Z stuff with that fight, and then it ends because friendship is magic. It was, I mean, I will give credit. T-Rex was a great villain, and he actually put up a good fight. Then came Starlight Glimmer, and she's gonna be quite a topic. So first, she hates something called cutie marks, which is a mark a pony gets whenever that pony shows his or her special talent. The Cutie Mark Crusaders are ponies who, for the first few seasons, were trying to earn their marks, and by the time they earned them, they had like a new goal of understanding cutie marks. Point is, Starlight was a bit anti cutie mark because she felt like it made things harder for her. So And this mindset was felt by a character named Rumble, who would address it in a later episode in his own way. Cutie marks shouldn't have to define you. And I guess that was their way of showing that, yeah, cutie marks show you what you can do, but they're not too bad. Don't let it define who you are as a person or a pony. But Starlight didn't know that at first. So she was willing, first she was willing to steal cutie marks, then she was willing to go back in time and just prevent Twilight and her friends from meeting just so that nobody could stop her, which had consequence because it kind of messed with the timeline in several ways. Starlight was pretty bad, and then they forgave her just because she said she was sorry. It was kind of weak, and I almost didn't want to watch the show anymore. But I stuck around and gave it a chance because I figured, okay, let's see where they go from here. Starlight does kind of address the fact that she was forgiven too easily, or at the very least, she feels like nobody's really forgiven her. They just said they were sorry, because the same thing happened with Luna. She says she's sorry, but she still wasn't that popular. Then she meets a girl named Trixie. Now, season one, Trixie was a show pony who was like exaggerated so many things, but then they're like, you're a fake. I bet you never did any of that stuff. And I'm like, well, duh. She's a show pony. She exaggerates. And then because of some idiot cults, a monster invaded their village and Trixie got blamed for it. Like, why would they blame her for something that technically wasn't her fault? She never did anything. So the fact that, and then I know she came back a while later to fight Twilight, and of course that probably got her on everyone's bad side, but still, I feel like she was not fairly treated in the show, and now it's kind of unfair that she got the label of villain because others were mean to her. And another example I could think of is a character named Lightning Dust. Now, in one episode, Rainbow Dash goes to the Wonderbolt Academy. Wonderbolts are like a top flying group, and Rainbow Dash wants to join them. I guess for if we want to compare it to Marvel, it's like the idea of a young hero wanting to join the Avengers. That's what Rainbow Dash wanted. To join the Wonderbolts, you met a girl named Lightning Dust who was super competitive. Here's the issue. Lightning Dust screwed up a lot, but she was kind of encouraged to by Spitfire, the supervisor, who ignored her bad qualities and just focused on what she can do. And then you got Pinkie Pie, who couldn't wait a few days to deliver a letter, fly into a Pegasi training area where they mess with the weather. She gets hurt because of something Lightning Dust did, and Lightning Dust takes all the blame. Lightning Dust screwed up, I will admit. She should have been a little more apologetic over the fact that she could have gotten some ponies hurt, but then for Spitfire to be like, oh, yeah, you screwed up, you're out of here. It was partially Spitfire's fault this happened in the first place, but yeah, it's just kind of unfair how some things happen to these characters. Though, so, yeah, it's not a perfect society. I feel like the worst thing they did was take this pony who wanted to be head mayor of the School of Friendship. The School of Friendship itself being a really bad idea, but whatever. She wanted to be head mayor, and instead of trying to tell her no, that's not okay, or try to talk to her afterwards, or try to reform her like they do with other villains, like Starlight who tried to destroy time, or Discord who terrorized ponies, they took this literal child and threw her in, and basically imprisoned her. Like, yeah, she stole magic, and she shouldn't have done that, but they could have educated her rather than just deem her a lost cause. That was just like one of the lowest points of the story. Season 8 and 9 was just a low point. It had some good stuff, mind you. I didn't dislike it too much. It had entertaining episodes, but the stuff with Cozy was such a letdown. And then by the end of it all, it was just like, what was the point? You even had you teased that some of these villains probably could have learned friendship, and then you do this. You get rid of you just do like, forget about it. Come on. But look, I like My Little Pony still. I don't see anything wrong with it. For me, it's no different than liking Super Mario Brothers or Kirby. You could be an adult and like this stuff. So I would also say that the movie was good. The character Tempest Shadow was a good example of a character who earned her redemption. I mean, nothing wrong with villains turning good. Just make sure something like Vegeta in Dragon Ball Z or Zuko in Avatar The Last Airbender. They earned their villain to hero status, and Tempest kind of earned her reformation. But I don't think the show did always do a good job with that. Then you have the Equestria Girls movies. Not really my thing per se. I did like Sunshine Shimmer as a character. I did like the Dazzlings, but I just couldn't get into Equestria Girls. But yeah, I guess for me it's almost like how I could, I don't know. I'm just gonna end. I'm just gonna end that talk. Point is, My Little Pony, good show. I would say the middle part, maybe the first few seasons were great. Like first two or three needed work. Middle 4, 5, 6 was great. 7 was a little down slopes, and then 8 and 9 was a little where things just really could have been better. But still, I would say it has good characterization. I enjoyed the show regardless, and I will still watch it. So that's all that I have to say. Storm Dash is now signing off.